Number 1. A prickly pear cactus is shown below. The roots of the prickly pear cactus spread out in a wide underground network. How does this type of root system benefit a prickly pear cactus? A. By producing fruit and storing water by capturing sunlight and getting rid of waste materials. B. By capturing sunlight and getting rid of waste materials. C. By absorbing water and supporting the plant in loose, sandy soil. D. By releasing nutrients into the sandy soil and taking in oxygen. Number 2. Some facts about birds called cattle egrets are listed below. Cattle egrets. 1. They have yellow bills and light orange legs. 2. They make nests in trees away from predators. 3. They eat ticks off cattle while the cattle graze. 4. They are often found in the same fields as cattle. Which of these facts best describes how these birds depend on other animals to survive? Fact 1, Fact 2, Fact 3, or Fact 4? Number 3. The table below lists ways that 4 organisms obtain energy. Methods for obtaining energy. Organism, oak tree. Method, produces food through photosynthesis. Organism, mushroom. Method, absorbs nutrients from decomposing plants and animals. Organism, cottontail rabbit. Method, eats grasses, twigs, and bark. Organism, mountain lion. Method, preys on deer, wild hogs, and rodents. Which organism obtains energy without depending on another organism? Oak tree, mushroom, cottontail rabbit, mountain lion. Number 4. Dolphins and whales use echolocation, the ability to emit high-pitched sound waves that bounce off objects and return information about the object, such as distance and shape, back to them. Besides sea animals, what other kinds of animals are most likely to use echolocation? Herbivores, prairie, nocturnal, terrestrial. Number 5. Which of the following best explains how light-colored fur helps kangaroos survive the hot daytime temperatures of a desert climate? The fur absorbs cold air. The fur acts as a blanket. The fur reflects sunlight. The fur provides camouflage. Number 6. Many gardeners make compost piles to fertilize their plants. They mix together dried leaves, grass clippings, dirt, and old vegetables. Gardeners mix the compost regularly to make sure air gets to the bottom of the heap. When compost is added to the soil, a gardener hopes the compost will provide plants with sunlight, oxygen, nitrogen, water. Number 7. In a food chain, energy does not flow directly from producer to decomposer, producer to consumer, consumer to decomposer, consumer to producer. Number 8. What is the role of plankton in this food chain? Plankton, fish, sea otter. Producer, first order consumer, decomposer, second order consumer. Number 9. What do the arrows represent in this food chain? A. The process of photosynthesis. B. Energy moving from one living thing to the next. C. The rate of metabolism within an ecosystem. D. Energy increasing along a food chain. Number 10. The food web below represents organisms in a field. Alder trees, white-tailed deer, mosquitoes, robins, groundhogs, clover, worms, raccoons. What role do raccoons play in this food web? Prey, producer, decomposer, consumer. Number 11. Which table shows the correct role of each organism in the food chain below? Algae, shrimp, Arctic cod, ringed seals, polar bears. This section shows the organism. This section shows its role. The order of the organisms are algae, shrimp, Arctic cod, ringed seals, and polar bears. The three words you are looking for in all four tables are producers, consumers, and decomposers. Number 12. Coyotes roam over large areas of land in Texas. What effect would building a mall in the coyotes' territory have on these animals? F. The coyote population would increase. G. The size of the coyote population would remain unchanged. H. The size of the coyotes' habitat would decrease. J. The coyotes would leave the entire area. Number 13. Perfect weather conditions have led to a large increase in the number of deer in a certain area. What impact will this population increase have on the ecosystem? A. The number of coyotes will decrease because of increased competition for food. B. The amount and variety of plants will decrease due to overgrazing. C. The risk of wildfire will decrease due to a reduced plant life. D. The number of rabbits will increase because there will be an increase in available food. Number 14. Prairie dogs eat plants and dig underground tunnels. Prairie dog tunnels help break up hard prairie soils, and the animal's waste adds nutrients to the soil. In the past, large groups of prairie dogs lived in many parts of the U.S. Great Plains, but people have destroyed most of these colonies. Which of these will most likely happen when prairie dogs are removed from an area? The population of predators that eat prairie dogs will decrease. The population of plants that prairie dogs eat will decrease. The nutrients in the soil will increase. The number of underground tunnels will increase. Number 15. The nesting habits of 4 types of birds are described in the table below. Nesting habits. Type of bird. Baltimore oriole. Nest description. The nest hangs from thin branches in tall trees. A barn swallow. The nest is attached under the roof of a house or barn. Downy woodpecker. The nest is dug into rotting or decaying trees. Belted kingfisher. The nest is built in tunnels or burrows. If all the dead branches and dying trees in a wooded area are removed, which bird's nesting habitat would be most affected? Baltimore oriole, barn swallow, downy woodpecker, belted kingfisher. If you are taking this on day 1, you just finished number 15, so you can pause the video here. Number 16. Many types of plants grow in a forest ecosystem. How do plants affect the air that forest animals breathe? Plants use oxygen from the air to make food. Plants release pollution into the air. Plants release energy from the sun into the air. Plants take in carbon dioxide and release oxygen into the air. Number 17. What would most likely happen to the carbon dioxide-oxygen cycle if Earth's large forests were all cut down? There would be more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere because fewer plants would be using it to produce their own food. The remaining plants would stop producing carbon dioxide and animals would use less oxygen. The remaining plants would produce more oxygen and animals would produce less carbon dioxide. There would be more oxygen in the atmosphere because fewer plants would be using it to produce their own food. Number 18. What gas do plants take in to produce sugars through photosynthesis? Oxygen, carbon dioxide, hydrogen, helium. Number 19. Eagles catch fish in rivers with their talons. They fly with the fish to a tree branch and tear the fish into small pieces. Which bird most likely catches and eats its food the way an eagle does? Number 20. The whiskers of a river otter and the antenna of a cockroach are shown below. How do structures such as whiskers and antenna benefit organisms? They help the organisms detect their surroundings. They help the organisms eat food quickly. They help the organisms fight predators, or none of these. 21. Some animals, such as lions, have pointed teeth, while other animals, such as cattle, have flat teeth. The difference in the shape of these animals' teeth is most closely related to A. The type of organisms the animals consume, B. The sound the animals make, C. The habitat the animals live in, or D. The type of predators the animals have. 22. The table gives information about 4 types of fish. These fish all have mouth structures that allow them to eat different types of food. Fish, a photograph, and then the description of mouth. Parrotfish. Jaws form a strong parrot-like beak, grinding plates inside the mouth. Koi fish. Soft mouth with no teeth, mouth located on the underside of the head. Goby fish. Small mouth, lower jaw extends out farther than upper jaw. Seahorse. Small mouth, mouth located at the end of a long, tube-like snout. Which of these fish has mouth structures that allow it to eat algae by taking large bites of the hard coral on which the algae grows? Parrotfish, koi, goby, or seahorse. Number 23. Crayfish live in water and often hide under rocks or plants. They come out to look for food and will eat both plants and animals. Which of these is a trait that a crayfish most likely inherits from its parents? The average distance it travels each day, the number of legs it has, the amount of food it eats each day, the type of plants in its habitat. Number 24. A farmer keeps bees to pollinate crops. The farmer makes several observations about the bees. Bees make return trips to drink sugar water from a bowl placed 40 meters from their hive. Bees have dark eyes and black and yellow stripes. Bees produce honey from the nectar they collect. Bees will sting when threatened or disturbed. Which of these observations describes a learned behavior? A. Bees make return trips to drink sugar water from a bowl placed 40 meters from their hive. B. Bees have dark eyes and black and yellow stripes. C. Bees produce honey from the nectar they collect. D. Bees will sting when threatened or disturbed. Number 25. For a science assignment, a student was asked to observe some organisms and then make a table to classify the organism's traits as inherited or learned. The student's table is shown below. Observations of some organisms. Trait, inherited or learned. Colt able to walk right after birth. Student texting a message. Spider spinning a web. Brown fur on a bear. Child using a fork to eat. Woman driving a car. Green leaves on a tree. Lion jumping through a hoop. How many of these observations describe learned behaviors and how many describe inherited traits? 1 learned behavior, 7 inherited traits. 2 learned behaviors, 6 inherited traits. 3 learned behaviors, 5 inherited traits. 4 learned behaviors, 4 inherited traits. Make sure you check the other video for the remainder of the problems.